All right, y'all, we are going to talk about topic 1.4, the challenges of the Articles of Confederation, which is, of course, the first governing document of the United States of America. Let's go ahead and dive into it. By the time we get done with this, you're going to learn how the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation led to Shays' Rebellion. And I would add to this how Shays' Rebellion revealed the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation. All right, so let's get into it. So, main things you need to know about the Articles of Confederation is, like I said, the first Constitution of the United States of America. It's created very, very early after the Declaration is written. It is ratified, as you can see, in 1781. It is the governing document that is in charge of our country as the American Revolution comes to its conclusion, as the War for Independence begins to come to its conclusion. And the big thing that I want you to see here is with the Articles of Confederation is that it is an important document. Obviously, we're studying it. But there is some good things about it, but there's a lot more bad things about it. All right, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about the good things first. So the first thing is this. Well, I mean, it did help us to win the War for Independence against England, which, not many countries had been very successful about winning wars with England, specifically countries that were, colonized by them. It was used to bring a couple good treaties to the table during the War for Independence. Specifically, it brought France into the war. It also helped when it came to ending the war of making peace with England. You will see if you read the articles carefully that we were crushing on Canada really hard, hoping that they would be our girlfriend and come join us as a colony, and they pretty much told us to shove it. And it also sets up a way to create new states, and it actually is one of the major document or the founding document that is in control of the country when the Northwest Territory is created. And we know that creating states is going to be a pretty big and important thing for a new country. And we also should know this as well, that this is going to be a major political topic as we go forward and in the development of political parties. Is the state going to enter as a slave state or a free state? Trying to maintain that balance so as not to tip it too much one way or toward the other. And we're going to talk about that when we start talking about the compromises made at the Constitutional Convention. But I just need you to make sure you understand about Northwest Territory. All right, this is just background. This is not important. What you need to know is this stuff right here. Hey, there's a reason it's highlighted. It's not because it's fun. You got to know those two. Like these things under here, yeah, I may ask you about it on a quiz or a test, but you got to know those two. All right? No taxes. All right? The Articles of Confederation, they can't levy taxes against the states. Uh-oh. They also can't raise their own army. Uh-oh. Now, look, these come from the ideas of, remember where they're coming from. They're coming from old King George. All right? So no taxes, can't raise an army. This kind of makes sense. Think about it. They were just taxed a whole lot. That's the reason they kind of wanted out of that social contract. Also, when it comes to raising an army, they had like soldiers living in their home. They saw like the British soldiers being used to like influence or like force their will on colonists. And that's kind of what they're thinking with this. It's not all the way thought through. We'll see that very soon. They have a president, but there's no executive and no judicial branch. Like the legislative branch is the only one that exists. A president doesn't really execute anything. He just presides over the council. He actually has less power than just about everybody. I would keep these in mind. It took a unanimous, all 13 states had to say, we want to change the Constitution. Like just to change it. Not even say get a whole new one, but just change it. However, it still took 9 of the 13, or a supermajority, to be able to pass just a regular law. That's pretty tough to get to sometimes. It's a lot easier to get a simple majority, which would be 7, than a supermajority like this. And you should know this, that each state got 1 vote in the Articles of Confederation. It didn't matter if you were a big state like Virginia or New York, or if you were a small state like Georgia and New Jersey. Everybody had 1 vote. All right, now, please don't forget no taxes and that ability to tax and can't raise an army. You're going to see why that's important. So a big problem with not being able to tax is wars are expensive. We talked about this with King George. And you've got a whole lot of veterans who were promised a pension or promised to be paid for their service, and they're not getting paid. And they are back at their regular life now, a lot of them farmers, and they had this money that they thought they were accumulating or thought they were going to be paid, and they aren't paid it. And all this time they've been gone, their debts on their land have been accumulating, and a lot of the banks are starting to seize their land. We also see that we got a problem because we owe a whole lot of money to other countries, specifically France, because of all the help they gave us. They kind of bailed out our derrieres. And also to a lot of big, you could call them businesses or merchants who help furnish the troops with different supplies. One thing that I want to make sure is clear here is these merchants, remember, they've got to buy their supplies or their stuff from somewhere. And those people they're buying their stuff from, you start taking them Rhode Island money, because this is something to remember. Back then, Georgia's got its own money, Rhode Island's got its own money, Virginia, New York, they've all got their own money. They don't share a currency. So you bring this Rhode Island money to this person who you're trying to, maybe over in France or whatever, that you're trying to buy this good from, that you're going to take over and sell. And they're like, this doesn't mean anything to me. I don't trust this. How long is Rhode Island going to be around anyway? So I want gold. I want silver. I want the hard currencies. I want currencies that actually, they're good everywhere. And this trickles down. So, the people who merchants buy stuff from, they're like, we want gold. So the merchants have to go to who they sell stuff from, and they're like, I can't take your currencies anymore. I need gold instead. And you got to think, this trickles all the way down to these poor farmers who, if they are getting any money, they are getting this soft currency from their states that is supposed to mean something in their states. But when it comes to buying these goods, they won't do it because they can't do it because the merchants won't accept their currency. This starts to lead to a boiling point. Okay. People start to get frustrated because they're like, I fought in this war thinking it was going to be better. And now this state, because you got to think, they weren't thinking about the country. They were thinking about their state. This state I fought to protect is now trying to take my land from me. So we got Daniel Shays coming on the scene. He is one of these farmers who fought in the Revolutionary War. He lives in Massachusetts, and his farm is about to default. The bank is about to take it back. And this is what I need you to see here. He starts talking to people, and he's like, this ain't right. They're treating us like this. We need to protest. And this is not like we're going to go out and march. This is yeah, let's go get our guns and our weapons, and let's go force a change to happen. Now, you got to understand, this starts as a small group, very small group. And some people in Massachusetts are like, you know what? These farmers are right. They shouldn't be treated like this. It needs to be fine. They need to get what's coming their way. They're going to be, they deserve this. And some people are like, we got to stop them or they're going to overthrow the government. And what you need to understand is this. Two things happen. One, there are more people who say, don't worry about it. And also, winter happens. Remember, there's no heating. Okay? Winter is cold. It limits movement severely. But ideas can spread, and people who are, attached to these ideas are still willing to take them. And so this movement starts to grow a lot over the winter, to the fact that when we kind of come out of winter or toward the end of winter, there's between, and depending on the accounts, 6,000 to 11,000 people who are in this rebellion. All right. And remember, there's no Twitter. There's no Instagram. This is word of mouth is how this is being spread. Eventually, Shays tries to take an armory in Springfield. This is trying to get a lot of weapons so that he can load up his whole militia with guns, and that they can use those guns to go and overthrow Boston, overthrow this government. All right. One thing I will tell you, it is the rich in Boston who shell out a whole bunch of cash. A lot of these landowners and business owners and merchants and everything shell out a lot of cash to mercenaries to go and protect various, but specifically this armory in Springfield, knowing that, hey, if they get guns, this could be a much bigger problem. The militia, I will just be honest with y'all, kind of open fires on this crowd. They fight for a very little while, and then it's just disarray. The crowd breaks up. Main thing I need you to make sure you understand, Shays' rebellion shows us that the Articles of Confederation has its weaknesses. We want, when we got a rebellion going, you want to be able to act against it fast. But without a central government, we couldn't do that. Because we couldn't tax, we have a lot of these economic issues that are going on. And also, we can't gather an army. That's a pretty big deal. And what I need you to understand is this. When we get to the Constitution, they are things that get fixed very quickly. But people don't show up thinking that they're there to write a new constitution. They show up thinking they're there to fix the Articles of Confederation. It's only after a while they realize, oh, that's not going to happen, that we're going to have to put some work in, and we're going to have to, like, roll up our sleeves and, like, work out some things that are tough. And some things they are able to work out, and some of them they aren't. And I need you to understand this. There's not just two groups, like, for a new Constitution and for the Articles. Like, there's a lot of groups all trying to get different things accomplished. Different coalitions are working with each other at different points. And I tell you that to emphasize that during the Constitutional Convention, you can see a lot of pluralism going on. All the states participate except for Rhode Island, who thought they had a pretty good deal in the Articles of Confederation. They will end up ratifying the new Constitution as well. But the main thing that I need to make sure that you take away is this, is that always in your mind link the Articles of Confederation and Shays' Rebellion. And Shays' Rebellion showing how weak it was. Without the power to tax and without the power to raise an army, it couldn't do anything. You are smart, you are great, you are wonderful. I hope you have a wonderful day.